A man is looking for an apartment for permanent residence. The apartment he is shown has old repairs, the wallpaper is falling off, it is sunny, he constantly needs to curtain the window to be able to stay in the apartment, there is very little space in the toilet, and with great effort the protagonist was able to sit on the toilet. The rent was the lowest of all, and when the man asked for a lower rent, he was refused. The guy and his friend brought a large mattress into the apartment. The friend asked why a single guy needed such a big mattress, since he didn't even have a girlfriend and didn't earn enough money to get married. But the main character of the drama had plans to get married in the future. His friend wanted to go to the restroom, but with his physique it would be very difficult to do so. The guy is fat and he simply did not fit into the small free space left near the toilet. Another friend in sunglasses and a bright shirt brought guitars into the apartment. A third friend brought things into the apartment. After moving their belongings into the apartment, the friend sat down to eat ramen. Sung-jin, the main character of the drama, passed the first stage of the audition for the show Dream Away. The friend in the bright shirt doesn't believe in Sung-jin and says that maybe he should give up with such auditions and shows. The guy will never make a solo career anyway, but other friends supported the singer. The guy passed the first round, so he will succeed. He is working very hard on it. Sung-jin was left alone, his friends left, and he looked around the apartment and realized that it was not so bad and even cozy. At night, he woke up to a woman screaming. At first, Sung-jin thought that the sounds were haunting his apartment, but he realized that there were no ghosts. The boy was scared. What scared him the most was a woman's scream. The scream and the sounds in the apartment made him run out of the house in his pajamas. He was in such a hurry that he wore only one sock and one sandal. He kept telling himself that there were no ghosts. The girl sat down to work in her room when she heard the intercom and that someone had entered the apartment next door. Hearing Sung-jong talking to the ghosts he believed were living in his apartment, she tiptoed over to the wall of the apartment that separated them. She touched the wall, grabbed the paintbrushes hanging on it with her hands, and an unusual sound started to emanate from the boy's apartment. Sang-jin began to cry and say that although he was afraid, he was for justice and would free the ghosts. Sung-jin took out his tools and began to swing the hammer, and the girl came out of the wall in front of him, and the boy came back to reality. He said it was late, everyone was asleep, and he would free them in the morning. The neighbor was surprised to hear that. In the morning, the guy fell asleep in a sitting position. When he woke up, a hammer fell out of his hands, frightening the girl neighbor. Sung-jin swung the hammer at the wall to free the ghost as he had wanted to do at night, and the girl behind the wall heard his voice and screamed, which frightened the boy. They began to communicate through the wall. Jin realized that it wasn't a ghost, but the apartment he was renting had very poor soundproofing. There were very thin walls between their apartments. The apartment owners didn't get along with each other, so they didn't want to do any repairs. Sung-jin is disappointed because he rented an apartment where you can make a lot of noise for a long time. The neighbor didn't want to find a compromise, so a war over noise started between the neighbors. The girl turned on the food processor, and the boy started playing the guitar. The girl would turn on the blender at full volume, and the boy would vacuum the wall that separated them. The girl stirred the clay by throwing it on the board, while he played the synthesizer and sang. Dr. Chan, the boy's friend, called Sin-jin and said that his father was at a conference and invited him to visit. The girl's older sister came to visit. She brought the shopping bags that the girl had asked for and asked when the younger sister would be coming home. The girl said that her panic attacks had worsened and that she might die on the way to her mother. The older sister saw the pills in the bags on the younger sister's person and was worried that the girl was getting worse. Sung-jin came back to the apartment. The girl heard it and immediately started popping the balloons. The boy wonders if he should fight her. He starts playing the guitar. The girl put on headphones and went to bed. In the morning, her neighbor connected the speakers to her laptop and turned on a video with moans. The girl bounced on the ball to the sounds, and it was very hard for the boy to listen. Sung-jin ran out of the apartment and went to look for the house where the girl lived. He got lost, but then he remembered what the girl had said, that although they were neighbors, they lived in different houses at different addresses. Sung-jong returned home to get the phone. The girl thought that he seemed to have returned home very quickly. He put the clock on the wall. The neighbor thought that if this was all he could do, he was weak and would not win her. But the constant monotonous strike of the clock's hand is worse than the noise of repair tools. The girl didn't sleep all night, and in the morning she shouted that the guy had won, and they need to compromise. Now they can make noise for hours at a time in their apartments. Sang-jin writes music and rehearses, and the girl makes her sculptures. Sang-jin's friends decide to come to visit him. His friends called him at the exact moment when the girl's time was. Since he didn't answer, the friends decided to come over uninvited. As soon as Sang-jin sat down to play his music again, someone rang the doorbell and knocked loudly. It was his friends at the door. Since his friends had already been drinking, they were only in the mood to have fun and make noise. Sang-jin apologized to the girl for the inconvenience his friends had caused and promised that by 12 o'clock he would ask them to leave. The guys were making a lot of noise, and the girl could not stand it and screamed. Sang-jin woke up in the morning when his friends were gone. The girl behind the wall said that the boys had woken up and left at 6 and 7 in the morning, and the last third friend had just left. Sang-jin ate something that made him sick. He remembered what happened at night after the girl screamed. The guys heard and Sang-jin said that it was a ghost. Because they were drunk, they took it seriously and started to pray and ask the ghost to help their friend pass the audition, and they made a wish to meet a beautiful girl. Sang-jin was furious and didn't know how to apologize to his neighbor. He went to his friend who worked in a fruit shop and asked his friend for advice on how to apologize for what happened that night. The friend advised him to apologize and give a gift of grapes, but since the girl would not see him anyway, Sang-jin could just get down on his knees and apologize without the gift. Sang-jin was offended by his friend and told him not to call him anymore when he was drunk and not to come to visit. The girl was packing out the sculpture she had been working on for a long time when Sang-jin returned home and began to apologize to the girl for what had happened that night. He said how sorry he was for the previous evening, that he had gotten down on his knees. The guy offered to live on a schedule for 2 days because he has 2 auditions in 2 days. Then the girl can use the 2 days as she wishes. The neighbor agreed. The girl remembered the night the guy's friend said that talking to the wall was almost like confessing in church. Sang-jin told her why he couldn't give up singing, because he had once betrayed his friends. They had started as a band and he wanted to sing solo to make the band more successful, but things didn't go the way he wanted. Sang-jin asked him to pray for him so that this time he would succeed. A girl was carrying a big box and accidentally hit a toolbox that was on the edge of the table. The box fell and the tools scattered. The girl injured her leg. A neighbor heard the noise and offered her a ride to the hospital. She refused. The boyfriend thought the girl was very independent, so he asked her to come to him if she needed anything. At one point, the guy was playing music, and the neighbor was enjoying dinner with a nice melody. The older sister ran to the girl and started knocking on the wall thinking that the neighbor was behind the wall. The girl explained that he had left. The woman saw that her sister still had a lot of pills left. She asked why there were so many pills, and the younger sister said that she felt better and was taking pills less often. Sang-jin and his friends went to a pre-wedding party at a mutual friend's house. At the party, Sang-jin met his ex-girlfriend who was getting ready for her wedding. He congratulated her. The bride thanked him for his congratulations and left to join her friends. Since it was his scheduled time, but he wasn't home, his neighbor continued to work. The girl noticed that something was wrong with him. She asked him if he was rehearsing or just drunk. He coldly replied that it was his time, so she shouldn't pay attention to him. Sang-jin said that he had broken up with his girlfriend a long time ago, and now she was going to marry a rich guy. Sang-jin is 31 years old, doesn't have a good job, is lonely, and doesn't have a decent place to live. But his neighbor consoled him and made him realize that he has everything ahead of him. No one has zero progress. You need to look at things carefully, with love, objects, emotions, then you start to progress. After these words, Sang-jin sat down to rehearse. The day of the audition came. Han-rani, the neighbor behind the wall, received the mail. After she picked it up from the postman, she felt sick. Sang-jin came home. He immediately knocked on the wall and told his neighbor that he had made it to the 3rd stage of the auditions. Han-rani answered him very quietly. Sang-jin wanted to invite the girl to dinner to thank her for the words that gave him the impetus and strength to pass the audition. But Rani said it was not her day, she was not feeling well, so she offered to have a beer to celebrate his small victory at each of their apartments. A girl was not allowed to drink alcohol, so she deceived the guy by opening a can of beer to make a sound, but she drank water. In the morning, Han-rani left and was at Sang-jin's disposal all day. For the first time in a long time, they said goodbye to each other. Han-rani had a copyright case. She shared the right to use her character with the company she worked for. The girl won. The court granted her request. After watching the press conference of the director of the company where Han-rani worked, Sanjong, he was outraged by the injustice and that the girl was cheated. He decided to teach the director a lesson together with his friends. They followed the man and approached him in the gym during his workout. 2 friends distracted the director, while the 3rd one slipped a drug into his glass of water. The director drank the water and started training again. His friends did not leave his side. Suddenly, the director felt sick and drew the attention of everyone in the gym. People started filming him on their phones and the man ran to the toilet as fast as he could. Han-ran's older sister came to see her. She showed the video to the girl, and after watching the video, the girl remembered what her neighbor had said and realized that he had tried to make it happen. When Sanjong returned home, the girl immediately ran up to the wall and offered him a beer together. He was surprised that his neighbor was not outside enjoying the nice weather at that time. Han Rainey asked for Tong Chan, the director of her company where she worked, if her neighbor had done this to him. Sang Jin asked how old his neighbor was that she was talking to him informally. It turned out that they were the same age. The man asked if Han Rana's life was boring, as she rarely received phone calls and rarely left the apartment. She replied that he diluted her monotonous life. Sang Jin suggested that they meet in person, and Han Rainey agreed only after the guy had a full audition. The guy offered to become his girlfriend. Rainey accepted. The neighbors moved their beds to the wall that unites them. In the morning, Sang Jin asked the girl out. They chose a place that is very popular in their town, ordered food, and sat in front of the wall looking at each other. The couple imagined that they were in a cafe and not in their apartments, so they walked around through the park, went to the train stations, changed into national costumes, and watched a movie. The next day, they cooked together, Sang Jin cooking and telling the recipe, and Rani cooking with him. Rani ordered dinner, and her older sister came to visit. Sang Jin's best friend came to dinner. The neighbors agreed to make a double dinner. After dinner, the sister said that Rani looked much better and happier than before she met the boy. If he hurts her, she will have to tell her sister, and her older sister will deal with him. Sangji's friend also left, and finally he told him to think about this relationship, whether it is worth it. Platonic love sucks, it does not give anything. The couple talked about the book House of the Cat, and it turned out that they were both fans of it, and now they will be introducing Han Rainey's character into the book. Sang-jin was very happy for the girl. There was a knock on the door. It was his ex-girlfriend. She was very worried about the upcoming wedding, and the thought that she would not be able to get married did not leave the girl, so she came to Sang-jin to talk to the guy. He asked her to go outside and talk there, not in the apartment. In the yard, the girl said that Sang-jin was the only one who hadn't changed, but remained the same himself. Sang-jin came to a friend's fruit shop to help him. The friend sent the boy home to rehearse so he wouldn't fail the audition. Han Rani, the director of the company she worked for, called and made an appointment. The girl came to him. The man brought her the contract in the girl's resume, which reminded her how hard she had worked on her character, what her goal was, and how he had stolen it from her. The girl ran out of the coffee shop, got into a taxi, and went home. She had another panic attack, took some pills, and tried to come to her senses. Sang-jin returned home, asked Rani if she had been at home all the time, heard that something had happened to her voice, but the girl said that her ex-boyfriend had not come to see her and she had no one to go out with. When Sang-jin was leaving the apartment, he said goodbye to Han Rani, but he didn't get a response as the girl was already in the hospital. The third stage of the audition, at the interview, the guy was given a camera to film his daily life. Sang-jin went to his lawyer's workplace to wait for him and then go out for a drink. There he saw the documents on Tong Wanchen's case, and the friend said that if Rani signed the contract, she would lose the copyright to her character, and all rights to the changed character would belong to the director. Now Sang-jin knew what his girlfriend's name was. When the man returned home, Rani's sister told him about the girl's illness, that she doesn't tell anyone for her and doesn't share with anyone when she has problems, and then she gets worse. Since he moved in, the girl has been feeling better since she has been with him. The sister asked Jin to take care of Rani. Sang-jin agreed. Sang-jin found Tong Wanchen's office and hit him when he met him. They had a scandal and a fight. Tong Wanchen called Roni and said that he would not sign a contract with her. Roni realized that her neighbor had fought with the director, and after that she lost the opportunity to realize her dream. When Sang-jin returned home, Roni was waiting for him to talk about what he had done. The girl was determined, and she decided to break off their relationship. Since they did not see each other, it would be easier for them to endure the breakup. Sang-jin tried to prove to the girl that if she agreed to the contract, the copyright to the character would be taken away from her, but the girl knew about it. She just wanted to fulfill her dream. Sang-jin tried to persuade the girl not to sign the contract and not to give up her character for the sake of a dream that would be taken away from her. Han Roni came home to see her sister and thank her for the food. Sang-jin started filming his life story for a project he was auditioning for. It was hard for him to concentrate, and he got a call from the project. Har Roni came home and wanted to talk to her neighbor, but he didn't answer. She started looking at her old drawings of a cat. She called the director to tell him that she would accept his contract, but on one condition: he would not interfere while she was drawing the project. Sang-jin heard all this behind the wall. They started living on a schedule again, so as not to interfere with each other's work on their projects. Sang-jin felt uncomfortable. He couldn't prepare for the audition, so he decided to move out of the apartment for a while. Sang-jin stayed at a friend's fruit shop. Sang-jin needed to return the camera to the project, but he didn't want to go back to the apartment, so he asked his friend to pick it up. When Han Rani heard the apartment door open, she turned around, thinking that her neighbor had returned, but it was just his friend. He quickly found the camera and was about to leave the apartment when she asked how Sang-jin was doing. Han Rani finished working on the project. Her sister came to her, praised her and offered to take her creation with her. But Rani refused, saying that she had to go through it alone. The girl went to the company. Sang-jin is in the third stage of his audition. Staff brought the guy a camera that he had for a few days. He forgot to turn it off and there was a recording of a voice on the camera that he was supposed to hear. There was a message from Han Rani. The girl was apologizing for her words that she had said to him in the last conversation. And she thanked him for the emotions and feelings that he made her experience. She hadn't had a relationship for a long time, and what she felt while spending time with him was very important to her. Cam Roney suggested that they meet in person and settle everything. Han Roney gave the box to the director, who was surprised to see the figure in the box. It was not a model of a cat, but a figure of himself. The girl tore up the contract in front of him and left the office. Han Rani ran to meet Sang-jin. After Sang-jin's performance, the judges began to say that the boy's singing was not very good. They were disappointed with the vocals, but they liked the lyrics and the fact that he put his soul into this performance. On the stage, he remembered his beloved's words that it is worth putting your soul into something, and it doesn't matter if the dream comes true, the main thing is that your whole soul and love are put into it. Sang-jin thanked the judges and left the hall. The guy on the street took off the number he was performing under and ran to meet his beloved. They met in person.